national newscasts, broadcast in 6 languages. To learn more about Omni Scholarships, visit omnitv.ca/scholarships.
Welcome to this week's episode of LDN ONT TV here on Rogers TV. I am your host, Bronagh Morgan, and it is a pleasure to be able to bring you stories about fascinating people from London, from Southwestern Ontario, who are working in the area, who are, really helping our community and helping people around the world. In the case of our guest that we have on today, get on their mental game, I guess. The founder of the Mental Game Academy, mental skills educator, Larissa Mills, is our guest today. So many things going on. So it is very fortunate that we have Larissa as our guest today and be able to take the time to chat. So Larissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you guys and Tim for having me on. I always like coming here and being part of the community.
Yeah, and it is a fantastic one. Great to be a part of. So Larissa, talk to me about your background and why you have gotten into the type of coaching and educating that you do.
I think I'll go back to my initial education. So when I started as an educator, I started to study more behavior. I took a lot of courses, psychology, how the brain worked. Part of my master's was actually emotional intelligence and how people learn. So as I became involved with kids and my level of coaching climbed, and I started to see behavior change around 2011, 2012. I'm like, what is the link between my athletes not doing well? My coaches are more irritable. My parents are more irritable. The students in the class are not as attentive. And I'm like, is it phones? Is it the phone? Is the phone the link? Is it parenting has changed? Is it maybe that's the link? What's contributing? So I actually tried to get research funding, but apparently one of the premiers didn't think that my study was valid. So I
mentioning no names.
I decided to go around and circumvent and say, I'm going to start educating the public about digital wellness and athletes, because we are seeing a big decline in athletes signing up for sports worldwide. And we're seeing especially a drop in coaches leaving. They don't want to coach anymore. We are seeing parents frustrating our teachers and our coaches, and parents frustrated with the way things were run. So really it's a triangle here, right, that we need to educate. And most importantly, I was really concerned about the sustainability of sports right now. And I realized it all came back to, well, if a child is on their phone 13,000 hours by 16 years old, we need to do something about that, because that is simply not sustainable anymore, because it's not sustainable right now, right? So I just thought, where can we gain our steps in psychological development if they're on a phone or device or social media? And even their increased screen time is at school as well, because even though they're in school, they're still on a laptop. But let me tell you, they're not browsing legitimate things, right? So let's just put that in mind. So we're actually putting them on a screen all the time. We're making it worse. So by the time they came to their sports, they were completely fatigued. They were jumping for caffeine and sugar, and they weren't performing well. And then we started to see a dramatic drop by 16 in our elite athletes, and our sport agents and our recruiters and our high level coaches are like, what is happening? What is going on? And then I said, I think it's these gaps. I think it's parents aren't parenting and teaching mental skills. I think we don't have the bond of attachment, the psychological bond we need with our kid by 8. There are parents not even putting their kids to bed by 8 anymore together with their child. They're just like, here you go, here's your phone, go. So that has become part of a problem, and how we're speaking to each other, our culture. So Rob speaks really well to Rob Plant, one of our teammates and in the Mental Game Academy, speaks really well about sports culture, team culture, and how we all need to be part of the team, parents, coaches, and athletes. So I designed this online academy. So sports academies, associations, Olympic programs, anyone can customize this to put on or to come and use as a portal. And then we teach these growth sessions because they're all growth. Everyone needs to grow. I'm still growing. I might be growing out, but hey, we're growing. And we're growing, right? So we want the kids to grow because right now these kids are deflated, they're insecure, they're argumentative, and they're unfocused. So we need to give them those skills and coping mechanisms, if you will, to be able to handle feedback, to be able to handle pressure, and to be able to handle when their journey doesn't go their way. They're just
so
quitting.
So you're recognizing that the phone is not leaving. So what you have done is try and I guess, people need to catch up because the technology has moved so quickly.
It caught up to us. It caught up to us in so many negative ways that now we have to backpedal.
Absolutely. So athletes of all ages, I think you're serving now, and parents and coaches as well. What does one expect when they sign up for the Mental Game Academy?
Well, I'll take you through the 3 different parties. So
fantastic.
If I meet you and you're a hockey association or a football association, we sit down and discuss, what are your issues and concerns? What are you bringing to us? What are you most concerned about? And mostly they're probably concerned about their athletes and whether or not their coaches have that high level training. And we know now that many coaches are actually coming to us and saying, I wish I had had these courses and this mental skills approach 10 years ago, because now they feel like they've got to catch up to this new age digital athlete who is very distracted, very tired. And they're now starting to set our protocols in place where, no, parents, these kids have to be in bed by 10, phones off. Because why not set the standard of what is really an athlete, right? So we go in and we help the coaches, we train them. So that's one aspect, or the coaches can come onto our portal and take our courses. So there's a lot of different ways. And I made it more of a hybrid because we see that there are other countries involved and there's other facilities that want to use it. So that's how you would enter as a coach. Or we will go down and train coaches, whatever we want, whatever is best. The other thing is we have the kids. The kids are where Rob and I just love. We're worried about them. So the kids, we custom whatever the academy or association wants. They come on, they do their theory work and their coursework. And it's so nice because there's not a lot of pressure for the kid to do it all right away. They have a season to do it. And here's the best thing. We have growth sessions throughout the week with Olympic coaches, Rob, all these other people around the world who offer so much more things than I can, because I believe we need everyone's talents, not just one person's. So the kids come on and, they get to learn, and then they get a certificate, actually at the end of it, saying they took mental skills and leadership. And we actually give them a letter of reference for the kids going on to get scholarships. And it's really interesting because we get to work. We're lucky we get to work with these kids because they have so much potential. It's just about helping them navigate and give them mechanisms and strategies and healthy phone habits to just go the rest of the way through.
Fantastic. And so you did mention a little bit about the fact that you're serving people now all over the world. How did this happen?
Pandemic. Honestly, word of mouth. And we believe that globally we can help all children, and we need to help all coaches, and we need to help all parents get on board. And it was one person talking to another person, talking to another person. And then it's teams that are there. It's a small world in sports. Like your basketball world is small. So we've got someone in Hong Kong that's going to be doing basketball. We've got somebody in Alberta. We've got baseball in Alberta. We're trying to get affiliates now, even more people, because we're just growing so quickly.
Fantastic to hear. And I know there are so many more aspects to the Mental Game Academy that we can chat with. And I'm glad we have another couple of segments to chat. And we will be speaking to Rob, who is a coaching consultant with the Academy as well. So please stay with us. We've got more time with Larissa Mills after the break.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Blow out all candles before you leave the room or go to bed.
Never leave a burning candle unattended.
When you go out, don't forget to blow out.
Jeff from Chillin' and Grillin' with Jeff. We're back for season 3. We've had the opportunity to see some great backyards and have some great barbecue. Join us, Chillin' and Grillin' with Jeff.
Hi, my name is Mike Arsenault. I'm a morning show host and digital broadcast journalist at Chorus Entertainment. What is the hardest part about being a parent?
Having kids.
And I became a volunteer at Rogers TV London way back in 2012. I always wanted to work in the broadcast industry, but I didn't have the educational background, so I figured Rogers TV was the best way for me to get my foot in the door to the media broadcast industry. If you're willing to put the time in, good things will happen, and start early. I didn't start getting paid to be on television until I was 28. Started volunteering, I think, around 22 or 23. But if I had the educational background in either journalism or media, I would have been able to start my career just a little bit quicker.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome back to LDN ONT TV here on Rogers TV. I am your host, Bronagh Morgan, and I've been having a really fantastic conversation with Larissa Mills, mental skills educator, founder of the Mental Game Academy. She mentioned one of her consultants and coaches, Robert Plante, so he is joining us now as well. We're going to get a little bit more into the inner workings of how does this all play out if I'm a coach, if I'm an athlete, if I'm a parent, because, the triangle that Larissa was talking about, everybody has to be on board to really help these kids get to where they want to go. So welcome, Rob.
Well, thanks for having me.
Can you talk a little bit about your job in particular? What is it that you do for the Mental Game Academy?
So Mike, I'll give you the 35,000 foot view of who I am and where I came from, why I wound up here, just so to lay down a little bit of context. So I'm a former hockey player, grew up in the Toronto area, actually played a year of semi-pro hockey in St. Thomas. So that's my connection to London, back in the old Colonial League or the United League, 100 years ago. And
you look so good for 100 years old.
Half 100, a little bit more than half 100.
Downplays it.
Yeah. And so, as an athlete, you go through, a lot of different emotions and adversities, and every young Canadian kid who wants to be a hockey player thinks they're going to the highest level, as I did too. And along the way, you're not always prepared for the bumps and the bruises and the coaching and different things that are thrown at you and how to handle it when you're told you're a star. And so where I'm at now, I've gone through a number of things in sports and in my life where I'm at a point where I want to be able to give back, take some of those experiences. I'm not as educated as Larissa is, but my personal experiences, I think, have allowed me to work with the young athletes and help them avoid the minefield that I ran through and stepped on. And I think those experiences allow me to relate to the young athletes. And I work with hockey players and football players and soccer players. So my job really is, as Larissa said, she made a good point. She asked this question: what is an athlete? And it's an evolving question. And I think it's a great one that coaches and parents need to ask, because, in today's day, there is so much information and distractions that are around the athletes, that in order to be an athlete, you really need to hone in on your focus. How badly do you want it? Larissa also mentioned raising our standards. And so part of what I do when I work with athletes is help them raise their standards. And that is all done through routines, creating routines and habits, identifying where your triggers are, and then being able to go back and adjust them so that at the end of the day, you're making deposits into yourself that are positive rather than negative. And so where Larissa and I get along well is she takes a lot of the theory and I add some of the practical, and together it's a pretty incredible combination for the athletes and the teams and the parents that we're working with. So there's my 35,000 foot view.
Fantastic. So challenge, and so obviously, when Larissa first was, we were just chatting with her at the beginning, she was talking about this shift that happened about 10, 11 years ago and associating it with this increased use of phones and handheld devices. And that's just among the parents, as well as the children, as well as the coaches. It's a part of our society now. So they're not going anywhere. In particular, the last couple of years, they've been even more a part of our life, more screen time and less actually doing your sport or being involved with your teammates. So talk to me about how you are really trying to address those issues.
Do you want me
if
to?
I could just let me jump in quickly there, and then I'll let Larissa. She's the expert on the phone stuff, but I'll tell you what I do in that case. So I create a success checklist for my athletes, and part of that is having them recognize how much time they're spending on their phone, and that's waking up in the morning and looking at your phone from the day before and saying, not guessing how much time you think you spent on the phone, but actually writing down, I spent 6 hours, and we come up with a goal after going through this for a week and say, here's where you need to be. All right. Because a lot of the excuses of kids will be, well, I don't have enough time to do this or that. Well, I can find you at least an hour every day, guaranteed, maybe 2. And if you add that up over the course of a week, that's another 7 to 14 hours that you can dedicate to your sport, just by eliminating your phone use time. So by recognizing it, consciously writing it down and saying, how much time was I on my phone yesterday? We can create a program to help decrease that. We know that phones aren't going away. So how do we use them in those times where we allow it, that it's constructive? And there's all kinds of apps and things that they can do on their phone that are constructive for their mind and their body, that are going to allow them to propel themselves to that next level as an athlete.
Absolutely. And so it sounds a lot like traditional coaching, but with this mental health and really recognizing the absolute ubiquitousness of those handheld devices.
Also, in order to prevent mental health, though, Bronagh, we have to make sure that we are giving them mental skills, because the kids that don't have mental skills and habits and routines, and to go back to the psychological point of the attachment with the parent, the bond with the parent, they're going to suffer, and the behavior will change very quickly, and addiction will be imminent in any way, shape, or form. Drugs, alcohol, depression, whatever you want to say. We are seeing, and what we hope to see further along is that our athletes will be better prepared for their journeys, as Rob said, but he knows, and well as I know too, a lot of our professional athletes, they are driven to addiction, the pressure, the pain, the injuries. So we're hoping that if we can prevent that from happening in their younger years by equipping them with tools, strategies, and healthy habits, and having the parents and the coaches also doing this, it is a 3-way system as well.
Yeah, such important tools that the athlete, but I think any young person and anybody that is involved in any kind of sport, whether, regardless of the level, can really benefit from.
That's why we're actually hoping
where
that
this program really starts in, like Larissa says, there's this triangle. You've got the athlete, you got the parents, and the coaches, right? As coaches ourselves, we might only get that athlete for a couple hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we can take this program from a top down and from the associations to the coaches, to the teams, to the parents, now that influence can encompass that athlete all around, not just our influence with them for 1 or 2 hours a week. And if we can get that buy-in from the top level all the way down, now what you're doing is you're creating that stronger mental athlete and creating much better habits that are supported, not only when they're online with us, but when they're at the rink, the field, in the locker room, in the gym, and then most importantly, when they're at home.
And school, Rob.
In school, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. We actually teach.
Well, we're almost out of time for this segment.
Oh, go ahead.
And so if we can take a quick break, I really would like to dive into this because we've got a few more minutes left, and maybe talk a little bit more about that partnership between the parents and the sport associations as well, and how important that is for them to understand the skills and how to kind of encourage kids to develop them and athletes to develop them. So if we can take a quick break, we'll have 5 more minutes left with our awesome guests from the Mental Game Academy. Stay with us.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
It isn't the heavy trays that make the job difficult, or the fast pace you need to keep up. It's not working another double because someone called in sick. What makes the job tough is the moment you realize a customer has had enough and you have to make that decision not to overserve. Refusing service isn't personal, it's the law. We know it's not easy, but we're counting on you to keep us all safe. Thank you, servers, for doing the tough job.
I'm Shannon Woolley, host of Batter Up Beachville on Rogers TV. Join myself and Doug Harris as we learn more about the first recorded baseball game in Beachville.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Mario Elia, and I'm the host of a new show here on Rogers TV that we're calling Keeping London Healthy with Dr. Mario. So tune in Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. and we'll see you then.
You're watching Rogers TV, London.
Welcome back to LDN, OMT TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh. I've been speaking to Larissa Mills, Rob Palente, Mental Game Academy. So much important work, but I guess it like so many benefits that are coming out of the work that is being done with parents, with coaches, with sports associations, and with athletes that really want to be on their mental game. So talk to me, I guess, a little bit more about the education piece, because I think that there's a real, desire to bring this kind of education into the school system, isn't there?
You would think, and you would hope.
No.
And I do hope, because other countries are actually really open to it. I'm hoping that we actually get this into Ontario curriculum. Alberta's very open to it, so I'm really excited. But putting this curriculum, these hours of courses, into an educational curriculum methodology, if you will, there is no downside, because this is not just for athletes. This is for any kid who wants to get a certificate in their mental skills, emotional intelligence, and their leadership. It doesn't just stop at phone habits and how to mitigate social media. This is all about how to actually shape your day and how you speak to yourself. Because Rob and I know when we work with these athletes, it's fairly negative. And I'm like, do you really want to be that negative self-talk voice in your head the rest of your life? Or do we want to change and have a more positive, pragmatic, strategy-based discussion in our head all the time? And you're far more in control. of your emotions when you think from that mindset. So
and we know that the skills that you develop in sports might serve you for that small period of time, but we still have the rest of our lives. So really our goal is to create a foundation for these athletes, and we're using sports, but as Larissa said, these are foundational for any young person at this stage, and they should be transitional through all phases of your life. So we can help them develop those habits, those skills, those routines. They're applicable at any stage.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking of, one of my children is a singer, so not so much into athletics, but to be a part of kind of a choir is like being part of a team. And same idea, like that kind of this same approach can apply to people who want to excel in the arts or any of the things that they're passionate about.
Anything.
Absolutely.
Dance clubs, dancers, theater, anything. We're actually seeing that. I mean, I'm teaching corporate employees the same material almost, but just adapted for that audience. So it's happening everywhere. I mean, Rob made a suggestion. Oh, the kids are saying, yeah, we don't have time. Yes, you do. And we help CEOs or leaders or people find 10 more hours a week just by going through their phone and saving that phone time and taking the unnecessary apps off their phone so that they can do more talking and more socializing instead of scrolling, because we know scrolling takes a toll. It actually really, really depletes our energy. And what's interesting that Rob knows this, especially because he's traveled more as an athlete than I have. We are actually, I'm just speaking to 2 other teams that travel quite a bit. And it was interesting to hear the coaches speak. I'm concerned about the players on the bus on their phones for 8 hours, and then they're supposed to get off the bus and perform, and they're dog tired because their brains and their heart rates have been jacked looking at social media as it's designed to do. They get out and they're just zonked. So that's where we come in and help.
And then for parents like me, like I know the role of the parent and working with, the coaches, the associations, that's obviously so important as well and such a big part of the Mental Game Academy.
Mm-hmm.
The parenting piece is just as critical as all the other pieces, especially at a younger age, right? Because they control these devices that are in the kids' hands. And instead of using it as a babysitting tool, I think we have, which is very easy to do. I think we've all kind of fallen into that as parents. We have to kind of reel that back a little bit and understand what it's doing to them long-term and how we can use it as a benefit rather than as something that's a detriment to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So much to learn, and so much potential to really help young people reach their potential.
Yeah. Yeah, lots here. I don't think we need like 2 more hours.
But fortunately, there's a couple of podcasts. So we're going to be posting all of the links to all of the great sources of information that you can find. Larissa Mills, Rob Palente, Mental Game Academy for athletes, for coaches, for educators, for parents like me who want to help young people and themselves.
Yeah.
Beyond their mental game. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for tuning in. It was a fascinating conversation, and there will be so much more to learn if you check those websites as well. We hope you'll tune in again next week for more LDN ONT TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Rules of the road help everyone avoid collisions on the water. As a powerboater, you must give way to all paddlecraft and sailboats under sail. And when operating near a paddlecraft, slow down and mind your wake. In a small motorboat, always be on watch for larger vessels. It is harder for them to see you. Stay off the water in reduced visibility, when it will be more difficult to navigate and to be seen.
Calling all journalism students. Omni Television is once again awarding scholarships to qualified students pursuing a career in third language journalism.
I am very grateful to be one of the recipients of the Omni TV Scholarship. This scholarship gave me hope. It made me see that there is space for people like me in the media industry.
Omni is home to a variety of locally produced current affairs programs and daily national newscasts, broadcast in 6 languages. To learn more about Omni scholarships, visit omnitv.ca/scholarships.
You are watching Agent on Duty with myself, your host, Stacey Prayer, and joined today are my special guests, Brett Lucier and Crystal Lee Moore. Hey guys, how's it going?
Stacey.
Hi. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you guys on the show is not only are you both independent entrepreneurs, but you're a couple that are entrepreneurs as well.